What's going down? This is your man Don T of Don T Records Music Group, and today I'm about to hit you up with Mix Breakdown number 4, episode number 4. We've already done 3 prior mix breakdowns. The first one was Run the Race by my man Kenny. The second one was Smile by my man Michel, and also the third one was Hold On by my man Michel. Now, I'll leave a link down below, so if you missed those episodes, you can go back and check them out. And also after this episode, I plan to do a review of the last 4 episodes that I did, so you can see some variations in the mix that I did, as far as plugins I might have used or plugins I didn't use or whatever the case may be, and see if you can get, well, not see, but I will provide you an understanding of why I use certain plugins, what my thought process was for using those plugins. But before we get into this mix breakdown, let me give you a little snippet of the official video of this song called Heart Down, which is episode 4 by my man Michel, featuring 2 great singers, Naya and Deja. So let's take a peek at the official music video, in which you can find right here on YouTube. And I'll also leave a link down below. So let's go ahead and check it out. Let's check it out. Let's go.
It's been a long time. I gotta let this thing go. Oh no, hold up, tell me, really can it be? My homie Isaiah just got hit by one of them IEDs. My heart is broken, I feel my life's been taken from me. How is it I'm still alive when I feel like I can't even breathe? My heart is full of heaviness and sadness. Did the unthinkable really happen? So glad to know the source of all compassion gave me comfort in the midst of everything tragic.
Heart down, I'm talking flatline. Heart down, where is life? How can I breathe again? Tell me, how can I breathe again? How can I breathe again? How can I breathe again? Lord, won't you hear my weary heart? Breathe life into my weary soul.
Okay, I just gave you a sneak preview of the official music video, Heart Down, by my man Michel, featuring Deja and Naya. Go check that out. I'll leave a link below, so go check that out. You don't want to miss it. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into this mix breakdown. Let's get into it. You already know what to do. Go ahead and hit that like and subscribe and notification button, so when I drop new tutorials, you can be notified. All right? And I appreciate everybody for watching. All of you guys out there. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Let's go ahead and jump into this tutorial. Let's go. All right, check it out. So right now I got my mix window up. I got to put my eyes on so I can see the screen. But I got my mix screen up here. And one thing I like to point out, if you see my mouse here, right? Look at all my faders, right? Look across here, right? All my faders, right? You don't see faders like doing extreme stuff, basically all over the place. In some mixes, you'll see faders all over the place, and that tells me that there's poor gain staging going on, all right? So if you got faders that are all over the place in your mix, you might need to go back and do some gain staging, okay? So that's number 1. All right, so I just wanted to show you that. So let's go ahead and jump into it. I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of this mix window and go to the edit screen. All right, come on now. Let's go edit screen. All right, so as in the previous mix breakdown videos, I always start with the drums, right? We start with the drums, get our drums sounding good, because that's our foundation. Everything else surrounds the foundation, which is the drums. We gotta put a bass down so we can build upon that, all right? So let's take a listen to my drums. So some of the plugins I got on here are familiar to you in some of my last videos. Some plugins I'll use again on certain things, and some plugins I won't, okay? Depending on what's going on and what's needed. All right, so with the kick, and I'll solo the kick so you can hear it. Let me find a spot where I can just kind of loop that kick, which would be right here. hit play. Now this kick you're listening to does not have the processing that's on my mix bus, okay? So you're not hearing this processing right here, okay? You're just hearing what's going on right here, okay? All right, so let's just take a listen to it. See what is going on. Okay, now we're gonna hear this without the plugins. Let's take a listen. No plugins. I'm gonna engage them again. Check it out. All right, as you can hear, it's hitting a little harder than it was. You can hear more of different ranges of the spectrum when it comes to that kick right here. It's a sub kick. And so I start out with my Pro Q3. I love the Pro Q3, or now the Pro Q4, but when I did this mix, it was a Pro Q3. And so I didn't roll off anything on the bottom end. Sometimes I will, and that's depending on whether I got a bass line or something like that playing. I may roll some of this off to make room for the bass line. So we got to decide when it comes to that low end, what's going to take up what space in the low end. All right. So it's not masking or sounding horrible. You got to make space for your sound. Okay. So all I did was dip down a little something here, and that was it. Added some compression to it, a little bit of compression. All right. And I'll go one by one. I'll bring them in one by one, but I'm just explaining right at this point. Added my handy dandy gold clip. All right. I love this plugin. And then I added some more compression. All right. My Pro C2 from Fab Filter. All right. So let's get down to it. So let's bring them in one by one. All right. So this is the Pro Q3 by itself. All right, next compression. We're gonna bring in some compression. You see that I'm barely touching it. I'm barely touching it. Then we're gonna bring in some gold clip. All right, let's see what's going on. I normally use the gold clip to hit those peaks right here, just those peaks. But for some reason in this mix, I didn't do it. Again, sometimes it's just about the tone of the plugin. It may give you a certain tone or certain vibe, certain feel, but I wasn't even really touching it at all on this kick, and it varies from song to song. So let's see what's going on here. All right, so that's the kick. So very little going on. Just barely touching it. You know what I'm saying? So I barely touched that kick, and it sounds great. So it really didn't need a whole lot. All right, so we'll bring in the claps. All right, so let's take a listen to the claps, and we'll listen in context with what it's doing with the kick. All right, let's take a listen. Without plugins, here we go. Okay, so let's bring in the Pro Q3. All right, as you can see here, I rolled off some of the low end because, of course, claps don't need to be down in the sub area, the low sub area. And here, just heard some harshness that I didn't like. Maybe the snare, the hand clap was too bright or something like that when I mixed this song. And so I pulled out a little bit of that. And then I just threw a little bit of compression on it just to control the claps a little bit, or maybe even to bring them forward or to even darken a little bit, give them a little dark, because adding compression, of course, you're smashing it just a little bit. It's going to make it a little darker. All right. So let's take a listen. Yeah, like I said, claps got a little darker. It kind of started blending in the mix better with the kick. All right, it wasn't overpowering the kick. It wasn't too bright. And that's some things you want to watch out for to make sure that your snares and your claps are not too bright sometimes. Sometimes they can be too bright, and after listening for a long period of time, it'll be hard on the ears, okay? All right, so now we got a rim shot here. Pretty much some of the same processing going on, not a whole lot. Couple boosts here, rolled off some of the low end boost here to give me a little bit more warmth here in this area. And all of these are just some resonance frequencies or some brightness or something going on here that I took out. So let's take a listen without and then with plugins. All right. Well, let's take a look at the compressor first. See what's going on there. Okay, barely touching it, just slightly touching it, okay? So barely touching it. All right, so let's take a listen. This is no plugins. All right, let's engage the plugins. Just the overall better blend. It kind of darkened it a little bit. Of course, that Pro Q3, it always adds a slight little bit of warmth. And sometimes I'll just throw it on there because I just want that warmth that it gives to a sound source. So sometimes you just put things on there because you just know how it sounds and how it's going to affect your sound. All right. And you may not even adjust one thing on it. You just put it on there. All right. So I do that a lot. I just put something on there because it sounds good. I think I wanted to make another note here too. Let me go back to the other screen real quick. As you notice, some of my channels are mono, and some are stereo. And that's because when I got the stems, some stems were stereo stems. Might have had an effect on it. It might have been panned off a certain way or whatever the case may be. So you can see here, I got some panning going on. I got the right at 100% on this stick, and then I got the left at about 74%. And so you got to always look at that too, whether or not a file is stereo, because if you don't, then you may lose something in the sound. It's not going to sound like the original record that the producer produced because you now took something away from that sound if it was a stereo stem, okay? So you got to watch out for that. Same here. As I'm here, I got an open hi-hat that's doing the same thing. So it's stereo. It has some sort of effect on it. So if I made it mono, in some cases I do. If it's mono, I just make it mono in some cases. And this also is some type of transition. It's also stereo because there's a certain effect on it. So just keep that in mind when you're mixing and you get the stems from your producer, that you look at whether they're stereo or they're mono. And I believe in another video, I have to leave a link below on what that video is. I left a comment on that about a plugin that actually tell you what stems are stereo and what stems are mono. And I have to leave a link below. So look down below. There should be a link. I just can't remember off the top of my head what that plugin is called. All right, let's go back to the edit window. All right, so we got these sticks. Let's take a listen. And let me see what here. So we just got more roll off here. Took out some resonant frequencies there and also added some minor compression, okay? Simple as that. Sometimes it just doesn't take a lot. All right, so let's take a listen. Without plugins. I'm gonna turn them on. They just jump out at you. One more time. Right there, they just sitting back in the mix. Right there, they popped out in the mix. So they popped out, you could hear them more clearly, and it kind of just fit. So let's go to the hi-hats. Same thing. Hi-hat, I just rolled off low end on it, not a whole lot. Sometimes you can take and roll a hi-hat up so high that you can lose some of the warmth of the hi-hat, some of the characteristics of the hi-hat. So be careful of that too, because although you may look at your frequency spectrum, let's go, you may see that the hi-hat sits way up here or whatever. Let's take a look so you can see what I'm talking about. Right here. So as you see right there, right, this is where the hi-hat is, right? And some people may take this thing and go up and roll that thing way up here, right? But then you can lose something in that hi-hat that you might not intended to lose, okay? So just be careful about that. You don't have to always roll it all the way up like that, okay? Some people do it, you know, to create space, say, oh, well, it's nothing down there, so let's just roll it up. But if there's nothing down there, then there's nothing down there. But you don't always have to roll your high pass all the way up here, because that's all you see the sound is here, okay? So just keep that in mind. You don't always have to do that. And then I got my handy dandy R comp from Waves. I love this on percussive type of instruments. And so it's always my go-to for percussive type of instruments. Until I find something else, this will be my go-to, all right? So let's take a listen to the hi-hats without any plugins. Engage hi-hats. Engage the plugins. Okay, so the hi-hats, when I engage the plugins, you can see that the hi-hats jumped out. They got more exciting. And so that's what I was going for, to bring the hi-hats out, especially in a song like this that's not exactly trap, but it's got a trap vibe to it. And hi-hats in trap music, they're sometimes very loud. But you gotta mix it to taste. And so then I got another hi-hat. It's another hi-hat that's complementing this one. Pretty much, I think I put the same processing on this one. So let's take a listen. Okay, again, by engaging the plugins, got more presence out of hi-hat, and it just kind of fits. And then we got this open hi-hat. Okay, as you can look here, and I'll make it a little bigger so you can see it. Let's make the wave a little bigger. You can see that one side is bigger on these stems for this hi-hat. This is the open hi-hat that we were talking about earlier. And so you can tell that this is a stereo file, because there's something else going on one side versus the other, okay? Which I don't really know what it is, but I don't want to lose what's already there. So you got to be careful about that. Okay, so let's take a listen. All right, so everything kind of gelled together. It fit. Things wasn't too loud. Got a lot cleaner. Things sort of got their own space, and you can really hear everything in the mix. That's a great thing. one thing I didn't do, I didn't turn off my mix bus on this, so I'll turn it off once we're finished here. We've got one more sound that I grouped in the drum bus. So let's take a listen. It's a transition sound. So let's take a listen to that. Actually, let's look at the plugin. Just rolled off, high pass it, nothing special. Got some compression on it just to control it. And then let's take a listen to what this transition is doing. Disengaging the plugins. One more time. Definitely a whole lot better in the mix. So let's take a listen. So we on my mix bus here, actually my drum bus, excuse me. We got God's Particle, 37%. Limiters at 0. That's my go-to. And then I got the UAD. Used to use the waves, but I found that this one sounds a whole lot smoother, more polished. And so I like to use this UAD SSL G comp, okay? All right, so let's take a listen without what's on the drum bus. Let's take a listen. Man, it sounds night and day when I engage these plugins, and I don't process the drums with this on, okay? So make sure when you're processing your drums or whatever else that you turn this off. Now, if I was doing top down, I would have this on prior to me putting plugins on individual tracks, okay? So if I'm talking about top down mixing. If I was doing total top down, but I don't do total top down mixing. I do have another video out there on top down mixing. I'll leave a link down below so you can check it out. But here, I'm doing it bottom up instead of top down, okay? But I do top down when it comes to my mix bus, okay? All right, so we got the drums. Now we got our instruments, okay? And listen, I rarely have a color scheme because when I start my mixes, I don't have a template, okay? I don't have a template. I just insert everything in Pro Tools, and whatever colors I feel like throwing up here, I throw it up there, you know? Well, however I feel that day, pretty much, is what I want to see. All right, so we got some keys here. And on the keys, I got a couple more things going on the keys here as it looks. Let me make this larger. Let's make it larger so you can see a little better. Let's go very large, okay. So I rolled off high pass. I cut out some mud here, some stuff in the mids, okay. And then got rid of some resonance up here. And then I got what is called mid-side EQ going on. So with this mid-side EQ, basically I'm just taking the frequencies out of the mid-section, and on the sides, it'll be there, okay? And this was done to create space for my vocals, okay? So that this didn't mask my vocals, so I can hear the intelligence of the vocal in this range. And this is why this was done. So this is a great technique when you're trying to create space for your vocals, okay? You can do a mid-side because the vocals, bass, drums, snare, and maybe some other instruments live in the middle, okay, in the midsection of your mix, okay, and everything else can live on the sides, okay. So if you're trying to create space to get a clear vocal that's cutting through, you may have to use some mid-side EQ so this can happen. All right, that's what's up. So couple things going on here. Let's look at and we got of course, my handy dandy Neutron comp. It's very transparent, and I like to use it because it's transparent. So basically, being transparent, what sound I have the same sound after I compress it, okay? And that's why I like to use it. So let's take a listen in context with the drums. Let's go. As you can hear, when I turned the plugins off, it just died. You know, there was no excitement. The presence was gone. The piano keys were just lost in the mix, okay? But when I turned them on, you could hear how things popped forward. They got brighter, it got more exciting, and it just felt good. All right. So let's take a listen to the pad, okay? So here's a pad. We'll take a listen to it, what it's doing. So I'm gonna keep everything on. So I'm just gonna keep going down the line, adding stuff, okay? All right, so engaging those plugins, you can hear the mix open up. You can hear, things just gelling together. You can hear the space and the depth front to back in the mix, okay, as I engage these things. All right, so next we got HD Galaxy. I don't know what that is, but let's take a listen to what that is real quick. Okay. All right, so it's just like what happened to it. Once I disengaged these plugins, that thing just disappeared, so to speak. It got dull, it lacked excitement. And so, as you can see here, just cleaning it up, Didn't boost pretty much nothing. And sometimes it's best to take out stuff than to add stuff in, and that just does the trick, okay? Sometimes we get too trigger happy and just boosting this and boosting that. Try taking things away, okay? Try taking things away. All right, so compression wise, not a whole lot going on here. Probably less than a dB of compression going on this just to control it a little bit. All right, so now we got a synth sound here. Let's take a listen what that sounds like now. As you can see, let's see, we got the Pro Q3, and I didn't do a high pass on this. All right, so don't think, oh, you just do a high pass on everything, right? You have to use your ears, figure out what's going on, decide what's the best for the song, okay? And here, I wanted to keep the low end in this sound. And then let's go to the next plugin here. I add a Pro 2 stock plugin. This is the lo-fi. It's a go-to for 808s. It's a go-to for bass, and just adding that distortion, that 0.1. That's all it takes. And this just hit on some harmonics and brought things forward. I'll let you hear what that sounds like here in a second. I'll actually take that out and put that back in so you actually can hear what's taking place. And then, of course, my handy dandy Neutron 3 comp, it's there, baby. I'm using it, right? It's there, okay? If it works, it works. If it's not broke, don't fix it, right? But you can always improve it. Just because it's not broke you can always improve it, right? That's what I'm saying. Just always try to keep improving your mix game by doing different things here and there and trying different things when you have time. Okay? That's right. All right, so let's listen to what this sound is. I don't know what it sounds like. Actually, let's go here. It's playing a little longer here. So let's see what it's doing. All right, so it's like a saw or something. Let's go ahead and turn the lo-fi off and see what's going on. What happens when I turn it on and turn it back on? Turn it off, then turn it back on. Let's check it out. Okay, so what I'm hearing, it got bigger, it got a little more grittier, you know what I'm saying? Because of the distortion, it's cutting through better, and you can hear more of the frequency range when I turn it on. All right, so let's go to the next sound, and it's another keys, more keyboard. Okay, we'll go right here. Let's see what's going on. All right, let's check it out. Okay, so let's take another listen to this, and let's look at the plugins and see what we got here. So I got the Pro Q3. Oh, well, I meant to do that. Okay. So we got, of course, high pass, got some of that mud out, got some more mud or resonant frequencies here that I didn't like, took some out, and of course, added some control to it. That's it. Didn't take much. So let's take another listen. Yeah, so when I engage it, you can actually hear it jump out at you, right? It's got cleaner, it got more presence, got brighter because I took out some of that low end that wasn't needed. And yeah, sounds great. All right, so the last thing is the logo, and I don't really think we need that's their tagline. It's at the end of the song. And what I did to it is, of course, again, got cleaned it up a bit. I also used Soothe on it. I heard some stuff in there that I didn't like, so this is actually controlling it even more. I'm using it at 100% mix, so it's kind of controlling mostly up here in the 5K range, right here. It's controlling it, but it's also doing some other dipping. So I just play it real quick on there. Let me see. And now if I would take off my plugins, let's take them off. One more time. It just fits. It just sounds good, and that's the only way I really can explain it. It just sounds good, right? All right, so let's take a listen now to just. I'm trying to see where a spot where most of the instruments are playing. I'm not sure if there is a spot where most of the instruments are playing, because that's a break there. I don't know. we'll play it from here. All right, check it out. We're gonna move on. I like to try to keep the time down. I know I'm probably running over 30 minutes right now. So let's keep moving, right? So we're gonna go to vocals, right? So we got some vocals here. We got a couple artists on this song. And I did this song before I got Dynassist. Dynassist is my go-to for processing the breaths and sibilants and vocal riding. And it's an awesome plugin. Gating. And I got a video on that. I'll leave a link below so y'all can check that out. It's called Dynassist. I believe it's by Noiseworks. So y'all check that out. It's an awesome video. It saves me tons of time in cleaning up the vocals, because before, as you can see, I'm chopping things up, okay? And so my approach to vocals is gain staging first, all right? Gain staging my vocals first. That way, as I'm gain staging, here's my mix window, right? So all these vocals, if you look, right, the faders are not too crazy. They're just not too far off. It's not like, you know, I got one down here, I got one up here, I got one here, and all that all over the place, right? If you got faders like that, then you need to go work on your gain staging, okay? You need to work on your gain staging, because with the faders not being so far-fetched and so far apart, okay, it just makes life easier, you know, mixing easier. If they're about the same level, vocals are about the same level, you got your vocal riding going on, then you can pretty much adjust that one vocal, and then the other vocal should be about the same. The fader should be about the same place, at the same place on the mix board, okay? All right, so we got the rap lead vocal. I'm currently using the Pro Q4 now instead of the Pro Q3. Pro Q4 is much cleaner. The Pro Q3, all right, so let's see what I got going on here. So I do a cleanup first, right? So I'm actually doing EQ and some shaping before I actually compress, okay? So I got right here, roll some off, all right? On the high pass, I got a low shelf that's dynamic, that's controlling some of that low end rumble, okay? It's controlling it, okay? Slightly. Took out some in the mud in here, got dynamic right here, because I use dynamics when there's a frequency that's bothering me, but it's not always there. And so instead of just taking it out completely when it's not always there, how about taking it out when it is there? And that's the purpose of using a dynamic style EQ, all right? And so I just got some other stuff going on here, dynamics, and some resonance stuff, okay? All right, so let's listen to what the vocal sounds like, and I'll leave the effects on without any processing on it. Let's just take a listen, all right, without any processing on it.
It's been a long time. I gotta let this thing go. Oh no, hold up, tell me, really, can it be? My homie Isaiah just got hit by one of them IEDs. My heart is broken. I feel my life's been taken from me. How is it I'm still alive?
Okay, so let's engage the plugins. Let's take a listen.
Oh no, hold up, tell me, really, can it be? My homie Isaiah just got hit by one of them IEDs. My heart is broken. I feel my life's been taken from me. How is it I'm still alive when I feel like I can't even breathe?
All right, turn them off one more time.
Oh no, hold up, tell me, really, can it be? My homie Isaiah just got hit by one of them.
Okay.
Oh no, hold up, tell me, really, can it be? My homie Isaiah just got hit by one of them IEDs. My heart is broken.
Okay, so you hear the vocal popped out. It's brighter. It's shining. You know what I'm saying? Got a lot of presence to it, and yeah, sounds good. So we rolled some stuff off, like I said already, and got all the mess out of it. We hit it with my handy dandy Army Swiss knife 1176 by UAD. I love this compressor. I like to get on this, like I said in a couple other videos, like 3 to 5 dB of gain reduction. But if you're doing vocal riding and using the Dynassist, that I'm currently using, you may not need as much compression because it's doing some vocal riding for you and basically leveling out your vocal. And then here, this here is a game changer, the Spectra, okay, by Wave Factory. All right, let's keep it moving. And then I use the Kirchhoff, all right. This Kirchhoff, I don't know if maybe I've had it on my other videos, I'm not sure. This is by Plugin Alliance. It's very, very clean. It's basically I'm gonna call it a knockoff of the Pro Q3 by FabFilter because it's a great plugin, okay? It's very clean, it's very clear, it's transparent, and it has a lot of built-in features with it too. So if you haven't checked it out or took a look at it, you might take a look at it, okay? And so I just took out another low shelf and rolled off some more of that low end. I got a couple dynamics going on here, okay, and took out some other frequencies that I didn't like. So basically I'm doing some more cleanup on this plugin. But that plugin, like I said, it's a terrific plugin. It's great. I'm telling you, you need to check it out. Plugin Alliance, okay? All right, so then I got my handy dandy Pro DS by FabFilter, okay? So I'm taking out some of the sibilants, even though I've done manual sibilance reduction manually. That's why you see all the chops and cuts, okay? Then I use the R box by Waves. Basically, this here is giving my vocal some presence, right? It's just bringing the vocal forward, right? It's going to give me some more presence and more control. Then I got Soothe 2, all right? And basically just taming the high end and some of the other resonance in the song here in the vocal. And then I got the mix about 60%. So it's doing like parallel processing, okay? It's not 100% locked in. So you're getting some of the raw vocal and some of the processed vocal. Then I use a Saturn 2. Basically, I like that warm tape and put this on high quality as well. That warm tape give you that tube sound, right? A lot of big studios, you'll go in, you'll find that you got a tube mic, you got the CL1B, right? That's what has a tube in it, right? And then you might have some other tube that it's running through, okay? So probably about 3 tubes you're gonna have in your chain, right? It gives you that nice, big, warm, fat sound that you hear on all your hit records, okay? And then I got the Pro L2, right? And basically what the Pro L2 is doing is control, right? It's controlling any peaks that the compressor didn't catch. And I'm not doing much reduction here. Let's take a look.
Oh no, hold up, tell me, really can it be? My homie Isaiah just got hit by one of them IEDs. My heart is broken, I feel my life's been taken from me. How is it I'm still alive when I feel like I can't even breathe?
Okay, so you see I like about 2 dB of gain reduction on that. And not a whole lot, okay? It's not a whole lot. So I won't go step by step with each plugin, trying to, you know, save some time here. Don't want to lose you through this entire process. All right, so pretty much, except for this vocal here, I have auto tune on it. Okay, I can't remember what that's doing, but let's take a listen to it. Oh, by the way, let's back up. So I got a plate reverb on this. Okay, got a plate. I got a large hall. I got an eighth delay. I got a quarter delay. Then I have a automation built in with this ping pong. So stuff is moving around a little bit to give it movement. And you can see it right here. Here's the automation going on here. All right. And that's pretty much on the intro, okay, of the song. All right. So let's see what this is doing. Other plugin we got up here is Auto Tune. Antrarius Auto Tune Pro. All right. So basically I got 2020. So it's not doing a whole lot. All right. It's not doing a whole lot of like adding that auto tune, you know, effect like you hear on trap music. That's not what's going on. All right. So let's take a listen.
My heart is full of heaviness and sadness. Did the unthinkable really happen? So glad to know the source of all compassion gave me comfort in the midst of everything tragic.
Okay. And of course, we got the Pro Q doing some similar stuff here because this here is the same artist. So many times I'll drop whatever I did on his lead, being these two vocals, as you can see here, were recorded on the same take. So I could add it the same processing minus a few things, which would probably be auto-tune and probably some other effects that I might not have on the lead, but it's pretty much the same. All right, so let's keep it moving on the rap ad-libs, which is here. Now, there's two ways I'd like to do this. Two different ways, okay? And I'm giving you all the nuggets tonight, okay? Sometimes I'll just do a compression on it just to control it and smash it to death because it don't need to be up front. It needs to be controlled because ad-libs are, you know, when people are yelling and just doing a whole lot of different things sometime, right? Like, whoo, woo, yeah. And they got so many different volumes and levels and all that stuff. But, you know, with my new Don Assist, again, my new assistant, I may not have to compress it as hard, all right, to control it and to kind of level those vocals out. All right, so then we got a bell effect using the Pro Q3. And then I like to use some movement. I think I just did a video on this one too, on creating movement for ad-libs. All right, so let's take a listen to these ad-libs. All right, so let's take a listen.
Hit by one of them IEDs. My heart is broken. I feel my life's been taken from me. How is it I'm hit by one of them IEDs? My heart is broken.
And I'll mute the leads for a second.
Can't believe this. From me. Can't believe this. From me.
As you can hear, it's moving around. Okay? Now, the other way I was saying I could add all the processing on the vocal as I did the leads and then just put another plugin at the end if I wanted to, put another plugin at the end to use the bell effect after all the processing, all the cleanup and all that. And sometimes that works better. So let's not rule that out. And then we get into our singers. And so right now she has auto-tune, okay? Just the standard 20, humanized, standard 20. Processing, a little different. Couple other frequencies taken out. My handy dandy 1176 that works pretty much on everything. Although in my next mix, I'm gonna try another compressor and maybe even a multi-band. All right. Then we got our Spectra. Not a whole lot going here. Just boosting some high end on it. Then we got Kirchhoff by Plug-in Alliance, doing some cleanup here, some mostly dynamic stuff, and some type of reduction. All right. And then I like to use this instead of the Pro Q DS. I use this vocal de-esser. This is by Ancharius. Auto-tune. If you know about auto-tune, the people that make auto-tune, okay? That's what this plugin's by. And it has a assistant feature here where you can play it. Come on, where you can play it and it'll listen back and give you a threshold. And then you can adjust the S, the sh, and the z sounds and the t and the k and all that on this side. So it's an awesome plugin. I like it. It's very transparent. Again, I'm not trying to tell you go buy it, but it's a great plugin. All right. Then I hit the R box and then Soothe again, Saturn. And then we hit it with the Fab Filter Pro L2. All right. So let's take a listen.
Oh no, hold up, tell me, really can it be? My homie Isaiah just got hit by one of them IEDs. My heart is broken, I feel my life's been taken from me. How is it I'm still alive when I feel like I can't even breathe?
Okay. Now, we're here again. So same thing on the female artist, pretty much the same processing because it's the same person. Let me see. Yep. So I just basically drug it down because the vocals were done, again, same mic, same studio and everything. Just drug it down, those settings. Let's take a listen.
My heart is full of heaviness and sadness. Did the unthinkable really happen? So glad to know the source of all compassion. Gave me comfort in the midst of everything tragic. My heart is full of heaviness and sadness. Did the unthinkable really happen? So glad to know the source of all compassion. Gave me comfort in the midst of everything tragic. My heart is full of...
Okay, so everything else, this is the same singer. So again, for time's sake, you don't have to go back and re EQ it and all that stuff, okay? If you recorded the vocals right, I can pretty much do what I did here, copy, drag down, and put the same processing on that vocal. All right, and it should sound good. All right, so let's take a listen.
Everything tragic.
Hard down, I'm talking flatline. Hard down, where is life? How can I breathe again? Tell me, how can I breathe again? How can I breathe again? How can I breathe again?
All right, so what we'll do is I'll bypass the effects. I mean, not the effects, but the plug-in processing, so you can hear it kind of raw.
Mr. Everything tragic.
Hard down, I'm talking flatline. Hard down, where is life? How can I breathe again? Tell me, how can I breathe again? How can I breathe again? How can I breathe again?
As you can see, once I engage those plugins, that vocal just went boop. It popped forward. It was clean. It was clear. I'll play it one more time just in case you missed it without plugins. Here we go.
Mr. Everything tragic.
Hard down, I'm talking flatline. Hard down, where is life? How can I breathe again? Tell me, how can I breathe again? How can I breathe again? How can I breathe again?
All right, as you can hear it jumped forward. So pretty much all her vocals are the same, okay? And then we have another singer here. Let me see. She's doing a little something different, but let's see. Yep, 20, standard. Probably some slight changes here and there on the vocal. Some stuff the same, because their range is pretty much the same. These are actually some twins, okay? They're twins, all right? So they sound pretty close, pretty tight. So let's take a listen to her real quick, and then we're gonna move on. This is without plugins.
Blessings, you restored my soul and my heart. I get the message. Posture of repentance, God, I give you my all. Might slip but never fall. You are there for every step of the favor on my life. Yeah, I claim it. You will always show up on time. I can count on that. To you is the power and the glory and the honor and the million. This is fiction.
Okay, so pretty much, if it was the same artist, I'll generally put the same processing on that vocal, and then I'll make small tweaks depending on what's necessary with that vocal, okay? But I take the leads and I'll process them, get them sounding as great as I possibly can, and then I'll transfer those settings to that same artist on the second verse or the third verse or whatever it is. And then I'll make tweaks from there, so I can save time in getting these mixes completed, all right? Because speed is important when you're dealing with artists and the music industry. So you got to come up with your techniques that work for you. But a lot of times, by copying and pasting the same settings from the same singer to their other verse works, okay? All right, so let's look down here at effects. And what I do is I come back to my mix screen here instead of doing it that way. And then I can turn all these solos off too. Don't need them on anymore. Let's turn all those off. Okay, so let's take a look at what I got over here. So I got my large hall. I got what I'm doing here with this EQ is I'm cleaning up space, like for the for the reverb, so it's not muddying up the mix. So you want to take EQ so you can shape your reverb. Also, reverbs, of course, come with their own EQ, right? And so I'm using the Valhalla Vintage Verb, the Bright Hall, okay? And up here on the EQ section, I wrote it off at 7,000 and then 500 at the bottom because I don't need the reverb all over the song. Basically, where the vocal sits, right, is in the mids of the frequency spectrum. That's where your vocal sits, okay? And so I'm trying to focus my reverb to those frequencies, okay? So, and it's not a big hall, it's about 2 seconds here. And then I have a pre-delay here, always a pre-delay. And the reason you want to add a pre-delay is so that your vocal is not, the reverb doesn't kick in right away when your vocal kicks in. So there's a delay before the reverb actually kicks in, so that way you can get the vocal coming through initially, the transient of the vocal, which can lead to a more clear and cleaner vocal, okay? And it'll cut through better instead of the reverb, because reverb can be used to make depth in your mix, push things back, bring things forward. So you can use reverb in those ways also, okay? All right, so next I had a plate. I always like using a plate. Same concept, but on the plate, it's very small, not a whole lot going on, just slight, touching it slightly. Got my pre-delay. And this is the modern color here now, the modern for the Valhalla Vintage Verb. Then I got an H delay. And sometimes I'll put an EQ before this, but in this case, I just use their filters here and filter it through the plugin. Always turn this analog mess off here because it's just a bunch of noise. Don't want all that noise, okay? And I use the host, right? So it's locked in to the host, which is Pro Tools, okay? And on that delay, right, check this out. Like I always said in the last video, you don't want to have dry delays, okay? So add some reverb on the delays, right? And that basically going to create more space and more depth in your mix. So do that. And then I got a quarter delay, got the host leading, turn that analog off. And again, I use the filters on the actual plugin for this, okay? Here, I got reverb here, reverb here. On this one, I used the Little Altar Boy, right? And I think I primarily use this one on the delays for the ad-lib vocals to kind of give it a little bit of grime, more bass. Instead of sounding exactly like the lead vocal sounded, it gave it a little bit more characteristics, a little bit more forming on it to kind of drop it down. It's not pitched down, but it gives it a lower and deeper sound that will kind of give you more exciting mix. So you can try some of these things out in your mixes. Followed by the H delay, which is on the ping pong mode, all right? Quarter note, followed by the host. Use their filters here as well. Then I got the doubler, all right? I don't think I actually used this. I put this here. And the reason I would use a doubler, if I wanted to try to make the vocals wider or something like that, I would use the doubler as a widening effect. All right, so my mix bus, in this mix, like I said earlier, you're not actually hearing my mix bus on this mix, okay? And that the reason being it's got a different output, and I don't have this output assigned as I'm doing these tutorials, because I want you to hear what's actually going on here minus what's going on over here. Okay, so I want you to hear what these plugins and my processing is doing here versus my mix bus. Okay, and so you're not actually hearing all this good stuff here on the mix bus, which is actually going to enhance all that you heard already that I processed without the mix bus. But on the mix bus, I got my handy dandy golf floss, but always lives there. I think I got a video that talked about top-down mixing, and I explained that which each plugin does. So go check that video out. I'll leave a link below. I got gold clip, basically just clipping just a little bit, get me more volume without distortion and all that stuff. Got some compression going on. Got the black box adding some saturation and some harmonics to my mix, which is going to make it sound louder, and also it's going to bring out other frequencies, okay, in the mix. Good plug-in. Then I got the BX Digital V3. Yep. So basically I'm using this to do mono maker. I like to use this knob right here for that specific purpose, is to make sure whatever's at this range and below is in mono. And then I just link the top with a slope of 6 right here, and I'll just keep that whatever's above the 100 is pretty much on the sides. And I can do some EQing on the left or right, for the sides if I chose to do that, but that's just there to make sure that I keep certain things in the place where I want them. This here is just here for the tone, okay? I actually don't do anything on this because I got outboard gear that I'm using to EQ, and so I'm not really using this at all. It's just there for the warmth and the tone. I like how the tone and the warmth that it gives. Then I have the API, which has a lot of punch, okay? It's got a lot of punch. Use this channel strip to get some air at the top in my mix, and some more punch at the bottom on the low end. Now I use a double stack limiter, the ozone I like to use. In the modern mode, I like modern most of the time. I play around with the character all the time, depending on what I'm going for. Then I use the BX limiter, the BX True Peak limiter. I like to use their saturation. And again, the release time, I'll play around with that. Of course, my ceilings here, -1. And pretty much, try to make it very competitive so I can compete with, industry standard records. And then I got, this is here, some of you guys that's been hitting me up, may help you get a balanced mix. I do keep it on there. I don't always look at it, but I do keep it on there because it gives me a certain tone, okay? And right here, it can tell you whether or not you got too much compression going on, or right here it says indicate that you have low end frequency content, may be too dynamic, but if it's over here, it may be compressed too much, okay? So depending on where this line right here, this little circle right here falls, it tell you where you need to go. Now, do I always use that as the Bible? No, okay? No, I don't. I use my ears to make sure that everything's hitting the way it should, okay? That's what I do. And then that's it. That's my mix bus. And I got also, like I said, I got external gear. I probably got a video out there on the gear that I have in the studio and so forth. So, hey, listen up. So that's Mix Breakdown episode number 4. Following this mix breakdown, I plan to do a review of all the mix breakdowns. And within that review, what I want to do is I want to summarize the plugins used, try to give you my thinking for those plugins that I use. And that way you can see, oh, well, he didn't use that same plugin to do shaping on this mix. Or he used this other plugin instead of using this plugin. And that kind of gives you an idea that you can pretty much get a good sound by using different plugins. They don't have to be very expensive plugins. They can be cheap plugins, as long as your ear is trained to get the sound you're looking for. And that's what's important. All right. So I hope that you got something out of this mix breakdown. Again, the link for this video, the official video, which can be watched on YouTube, will be down below. So make sure you click on the link and watch the video, Heart Down. This video is inspired by a true event, life event that happened in Iraq during the war. Okay. And this inspired this song to be written. So go ahead and support your veterans out there. This song's Heart Down by Michel featuring Deja and Naya. So y'all go ahead and check that video out. All right. Support your veterans. Okay. All right. So, hey, check it out. So this is the mix breakdown. If you got any questions, leave me comments below. This is your man, Don T Records Music Group. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Peace.